Call number two. Let's go. How are we feeling after the first call on projections, on accountability? I know it was a lot of like technical language of just like what a shadow is, what a projection is, the different types of projections. So I got really kind of technical with what I was saying there, but it all will make sense and it's all really relevant for you to know to be able to navigate through the rest of this program. And if you need to, definitely feel free, go back, rewatch it again. I'm a huge advocate of just rewatching things just to see what lands differently the second time that I watch them. So definitely do that if you feel that you need to. And just curious, like what has been going on with you guys? Did you catch any projections that were coming up? Were you able to see kind of where you maybe were scapegoating onto someone, maybe where you weren't taking blame for something and you're blaming someone else? Maybe where you were making generalizations about people, right? Like it's kind of cool because once you start to learn how to do this type of work and you really become familiar with the way self-mastery work works, the way that shadow work works, projections, all these things. And you start to really build that relationship with yourself and you can understand how your mind works. It's really hard to unsee it once you see it. So once you can learn how to start clocking your projections and understanding like, oh, okay, cool. Like this is happening because I'm actually benefiting from this. So this is actually why I'm projecting. Or, hey, I'm actually not taking or not wanting to take accountability for this. So I'm just going to project on someone else. And you can see that really clearly. Where before you probably were just going about your life, going about your day, doing the thing and not even realizing that it was happening. So let me know what's coming up for you guys, what you saw this past week. I'm also going to drop a workbook in the Facebook group to kind of guide you through these calls after you watch them. I do ask different questions and journal prompts throughout the call, but this kind of gives you it all in one place. So I'm going to drop it into the Facebook group today, and it'll be the first half, the first three calls, and the second three half I'll put in as we get there. So today I want to start in a place that I feel is pretty necessary as the place to start. And that is our addiction to social media. And it's like, have you, and I know we're all aware of this. I know that we know we're always on our phones, we're always, on social media, but like, have you ever really actually noticed how much we are on our phones? If you're out at, a restaurant or a bar or like a public place, if you just look around and you pay attention to how many people are like this and have their phones in front of their face, it's insane. And I challenge you this week to actually, like, next time you're out in public, look around and notice how many people are actually on their phones. It's, people who are alone, people who are with their partner, people who are with their friends, like even if they're not by themselves and they're just sitting at a table, right? I always notice when it's very interesting to me when I notice and there's a couple and there's like two people just sitting at a table and the whole time they're just like this. I'm like, why are you even on this date or whatever you're doing to begin with? We are very addicted to social media. There is a relationship that we need to heal with social media. And I think that we've normalized it so much, just how much we're on our phones, how much we are on social media, how much dependency we have to these devices, that we actually can't see how much of an issue that it actually is. And for the past few years, my husband has done the whole vape thing. I almost called him my fiance. I'm still not used to husband yet. He's done the whole vape thing and it bugs the shit out of me. I hate the vape. He always has it. He's always like looking bird in the bed. I hate the vape thing. And I'm not a cigarette smoker. I don't vape. So the fact that he can't go anywhere without the stick, it bugs the shit out of me. Right. And I'm always giving him shit for it. And I tell him, like, you probably pick up that dumb stick 100 times a day. Do you all want to guess how many times you pick up your phone throughout the day? Yeah. If you have your phone next to you, you can go into your settings, go to screen time and scroll down next to the section that shows you how many times you actually pick up your phone. Yeah, if you see all activity. Does anyone want to share what that number is? And how do you feel when you see that number? Maybe you're like me where you don't smoke and you think, I'm better than other people because I don't have that nicotine addiction. Yet you're picking up this device, 100 times a day? You can't leave a room without your phone. Right? You're in the family room, you're in the kitchen, you go upstairs, you bring it with you. Or if you get to that room, you panic and you're like, where is it? And then you go back downstairs and grab it. You can't move to the other side of the couch without your phone. You can't leave your house without your phone. You can't sit at dinner with your friends without having it right there, not even in your purse. It's like right there on the table, right next to you in case anyone texts you. You can't even take a shit on the toilet without your phone. Let that land for a second. Think about the dependency that we have to this device. Yet we think we're better than nicotine addicts. It's interesting, right? So why are we on our phones so much? Why do we feel like we will miss out on something if it's not right there next to us? If we don't check social media for a few hours. And the reason is because our digital reality is more stimulating than our physical one. I'm going to repeat that again. Our digital reality is more stimulating than our physical one. But what if we were able to create a physical reality that was better than our digital one, so that we didn't feel the need to actually scroll anymore because social media was boring? Like, what if that was our reality? And this is the work that has absolutely changed my life. And it didn't come from a place of like, okay, I recognize this is a habit, being on my phone, being on social media, scrolling all the time. I recognize that that is a habit I want to stop. So I'm going to just stop scrolling and be more disciplined. Like, I didn't have that conversation with myself, because if I came from it at a place, and we're going to talk about this a lot in the discipline call, but if you come at it from a place of discipline, of like, I know I should be doing this, so I should probably stop, you'll probably stop for a day, a week, a few weeks. But then something would happen, or I'd have a bad day, and I'd tell myself, you know what? I'm just gonna scroll for a little bit. I had a bad day, I had a long day, I've been working hard. And I would justify it to myself. And then I would spend a whole day just like laying on the couch, going back to scrolling. So the behavior itself wouldn't actually change, because it came from a place of like discipline. I was supposed to discipline myself. It's kind of like the gym, where we tell ourselves like, I know that I should be going to the gym because it makes you healthy. I should prioritize movement. But the moment we have a bad day, we're tired, it's so easy for us to just skip it. And it's because we are not truly the person who just like does the thing and it's just normalized in our lives. We're just telling ourselves we should be doing it. And there's a difference there. So instead of coming from a place of, I should cut down on my screen time, I decided I'm going to create a life so fucking awesome outside of social media that I actually get bored when I'm scrolling and I don't get anything out of it. And because I approached it from a place of actually correcting the root issue, which was that my digital reality was more stimulating than my physical one, so I needed to change that. So correcting that root issue, instead of coming at it from a place of, well, I'm supposed to do this, so I should probably stop scrolling, that's why the habit actually changed and will stay changed. You get what I'm saying? So I want you to, if you have a piece of paper, get it out. And I want you to write down, what is social media giving you that you're not giving yourself? What's the first thing that comes to mind? What is social media giving you that you're not giving yourself? We turn to social media because it's more exciting than our physical life. We want to be entertained. We want to be inspired. We want to be distracted. We want to see how good other people get to have it. We're nosy. We want to see what's going on in other people's lives. And we get to feel like we are connected to other people through social media, like we actually belong, that we have this sense of community, of relationships, without actually putting much effort in, right? Because it's cheap connection. You don't actually have to put in a ton of work to know what's going on in people's lives. And I'll be talking to someone and they may say to me, oh my God, did you see that so-and-so got married or so-and-so had a baby? And I'm like, oh my God, how are they doing? And they're like, well, I don't know. I just saw it on social media. Right? Like we get to feel like we are a part of people's lives without actually putting in the effort to be. And that's the secondary benefit of social media is we don't actually have to put in the effort to ask people how their life is doing because we can just stalk them on social media. And on the reverse end, we get to choose how our life is displayed for other people to see. Social media is a highlight reel of our life. It's where we get to brag about how fucking cool our life is, how good we looked in that outfit, how cool our vacation was, how many times we're traveling, to show how much fun we're having, whatever it is. And do you have those friends where, and you may think of someone immediately when I say this, but they post on their Instagram story or their like feed about how like just how good their life is, and they have like the cool quote with it or the caption with it, and they're showcasing how incredible their life is on social media, but you actually know them and you're like, yeah, you're fucking lying. I know what's going on in your life. I have a friend who curates the perfect life on social media. It's always him traveling out with friends, going to concerts, smiling, living his best fucking life. Yet I know, because I'm actually in his life and I know what goes on behind the scenes, that he's drinking alone every night, that he got fired from his job and hasn't told anyone, that he drained his investment portfolio, is in massive credit card debt, and had his electric bill shut off because he couldn't pay it. But no one would fucking know, right? To everyone else, he's a role model. Wow, that person has such a cool life. I want to be like him. And have you ever done the thing where you see someone's social media and then you start to shame yourself over their life? So it's like you see the cool things they're doing or all the friends they're having or hanging out with and all the travels that they're doing, and you're like, gosh, like I wish my life was like that. Right? You see how happy they are, how confident they are, or how much money they claim to be making. You're like, why can't my life be like that? And you start to get into these shame cycles. Could you imagine the people who look at my friend's Instagram story and idolize him? And there are, because I will travel somewhere and I'll talk to someone who doesn't see behind the scenes of his life, and his name will get brought up and they'll go like, oh my God, I'm so jealous of his life. Oh my gosh, she's absolutely killing it. I wish my life could look like that. They're idolizing over something that's not even real. Everyone's life looks so fucking cool on Instagram. Of course it does. Behind the scenes, we're using filters. We're overspending. We're spending hours scrolling. We're shaming ourselves. We're not confident. We're not happy. And those friends that you see post online and you're like, okay, cool, you're only showing the good side of you. Or you look at their feed and you're like, they post that happy post and you're like, you're fucking lying. I know what's going on. I want you to ask yourself, where are you doing that to? Where are you making your digital reality better than your physical one? Because the thing is, we only get activated by things that we know to be true within ourselves, or things that we can recognize. If you remember from our projection call, if you can notice a trait in someone or you get aggravated or frustrated by it, it's likely because either one, you demonstrate that trait and you can see it in that other person and unconsciously it pisses you off, or you've moved past that trait, but you recognize it because you used to have it, so you know how it shows up. So if we're getting frustrated or we're seeing people who are posting how great their life is, but we know they're lying, it's like, where are you doing this? Maybe you make a healthy meal, or you go to a restaurant and you have the salad and you post about it on your story with the hashtag eating clean. But then the next day you're on your couch eating Cheetos. Maybe you go to the gym and you take a selfie in the mirror to show people, look, I go to the gym. Look how disciplined I am. Look how healthy I am. But then you don't go for another week or two after that. Maybe you're posting about the new self-help book that you're reading. Right? You post on your story, personal development, self-help book, just got this book, right? Everyone thinks you're so smart that you're working on yourself, but then you never actually finish it. Maybe you post about a new routine that you're starting, right? Can't wait to do this. Maybe it's like running. I'm going to become a runner. I'm going to start running. But then a week from now, you already stopped. Maybe you take a picture of you journaling. You do it 3 times. You're like, look how conscious I am, bettering myself. You don't do it again for another month, right? We spend so much time proving that we are someone versus actually being someone. We spend so much time proving that we are someone versus actually just being someone. When I post a story of me at the gym, there are 5 other days that I went that week to the gym and I didn't post about it. And I post a video of me running in the morning. There are 10 other days that I got up in the rain, when I was tired, through my period, whatever it was, when I didn't want to go, but I did. And I didn't post about it. When I post about how I reflected on something that happened today and what I took away from that, there were a dozen other times where I was sitting with myself, having silence, having realizations, and I didn't post about it. When I had a really expansive conversation with my mentor, there were 10 other moments like that that I didn't post about it. I do way more of the thing behind the scenes versus what I actually share on social media. But for most people, it's the opposite, right? They only share the highlight reel of their life on their social media. They're taking pieces of it. They're picking out the best parts of their week and they're showcasing it. For me, it's the opposite. It's only a fraction of my week. And the best parts, y'all probably don't even get to see. And on your piece of paper, I want you to think, if I told you that so let's say you're a business owner, if I told you that your audience followed you around last week, and if you're not a business owner, just your friends, okay? If I told you that your audience or your friends followed you around last week without you knowing, or even this week, without you knowing, what would you have been ashamed of? What would you have not wanted them to see? Right? Like maybe you posted that you were starting a new routine, but you never actually did it again. Maybe it was a conversation you had. Maybe it was the way you talked to yourself. Maybe you posted online how positive you're being, but then A day later, you're laying in bed saying, what have you been doing? So think about it. Think about this past week. What would you be embarrassed about if your audience or your friends saw on the way you showed up? It's those moments where like when you're with a friend or like your partner, whoever it is, and they're telling a story and you are there and you can tell that they're just embellishing the story and you're like, I fucking hate that. Why are you doing that? That's the same thing, but with your social media. We all want better content. We want our social media platforms to be better. And if you're a business owner, you want your brand to be more magnetizing. And that needs to start with our physical reality first, not the digital one. And this is the work that so many people bypass. The reason that I always get feedback that my content is so good is because my life is so fucking good. The reason that I'm such a great mentor to my clients is because I have incredible communication with the relationships in my personal life. The reason I'm able to have so much self-awareness in the decisions I make inside of my business is because I have so much self-awareness outside of my business. You see where I'm going with this? The life that we live outside of social media, that's where we need to look at. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not here to have a cooler Instagram. I'm not here to portray a cooler life. I'm here to actually alter my physical reality, the actual life that I live in. And this is the work that's going to help you do that. So what are we trying to gain from social media is what we aren't willing to integrate ourselves. What we're trying to gain from social media is what we're not willing to integrate ourselves. Social media is cheap dopamine. Cat's trying to get out the door. Social media is cheap dopamine. Every time we feel uncomfortable, we do this, right? Every time we go for a walk, we pick up our phone. We're at a stoplight, we pick up our phone. We're at a restaurant with our friend and they got up and went to the bathroom, we pick up our phone. We're sad, pick up our phone. If we want to soothe ourselves in any way, we pick up our phone. We don't like to feel the discomfort. We don't like to feel alone. We don't like to be out in public and make eye contact with other people. And who has those days where you're just feeling down? You're feeling alone, you're feeling sad, whatever the emotion is. And you just kind of like lay on the couch all day, or you're in your bed and you're scrolling. We do that because it's a cheap source of comfort. You're able to disconnect from the emotion that you're feeling. It's really hard for us to feel sadness or loneliness or not enoughness, whatever your emotion is, without picking up our phone. We can't sit in that. We don't like to feel that feeling. And because of that, we don't know how to actually navigate our own emotions because we don't even give ourselves a chance. We can't sit alone with ourselves for more than 1 minute without picking up our phone. We can't feel discomfort for 1 minute without picking up our phone. So it's no wonder we can't handle confrontation, that we don't like confrontation. It's no wonder that we can't handle rejection. It's no wonder that we full on spiral when we're feeling anxiety or stress, because we don't know how to regulate our own emotions, because we never do it. We always go to something else to do it for us. We can't feel the emotions and work through them because we always turn to social media to soothe us. Right? Maybe we'll go on social media, we'll scroll, we'll put on a movie, we'll look for things to confirm what we're feeling. Maybe we're pissed about something. We'll go on social media and we'll start to watch videos about it. When you experience stress, what happens is when anxiety or stress comes on, what happens is your body goes through a cycle. So first, the stressor, the thing that causes the stress, will happen. You will encounter this stressor. And it could be anything your body perceives as a threat, a challenge, anything like that. So then what happens is, in response to that stressor, our body then activates the fight or flight response. And when that gets activated, this then releases the stress hormones into our body, which then prepares the body to respond to whatever that threat is. Our heart rate increases, maybe our palms get sweaty, we get tense, maybe we even get a headache, whatever it is. So then your body and your mind react to that, and it comes out as anxiety, emotions, tension. Sometimes physical symptoms, like I said, headache, sweaty hands. And then what happens is, to complete the stress cycle, once our minds can recognize, hey, we're not in a threat anymore, or whatever it was, the problem was, is resolved, the body then returns to that natural state of relaxation. Post all those stress hormones coming in our body, it releases them. So the stress hormones start to decrease, and we return to that normal balanced state. If we are not able to complete these stress cycles, or we just never get through them, what's going to happen is chronic stress can happen. We just naturally stay in a heightened state of stress. So you have your nervous system where you're at, the baseline. Your natural baseline will just be anxious, will be stressed. And a lot of that happens to a lot of people. A lot of people experience dysregulated nervous systems. And a lot of it has to do with our dependency on social media, because we're not learning how to complete our own stress cycles in a healthy way. We're doing this. When we can learn to complete stress cycles internally, then it's going to create this more internal safety. So we're going to talk about this more in the discipline call, but a lot of the doubt that we have with ourselves, a lot of the anxiety we feel, a lot of the moments, if you're a business owner and you have a client that comes on, gives you a lot of money, and you're like, ooh, like I feel a little bit of unsafety. I feel a little bit of nervousness that I'm not going to be able to deliver to their expectations. This like self-doubt that happens, a lot of it happens because of small micro moments that we are telling ourselves that we are not safe. So the more that we look to an external source to regulate our emotions, to make us feel safe, it's like our own body is not going to feel safe, because we are telling ourselves, you cannot do this, you have to go get it elsewhere. Does that make sense? So when we can complete the stress cycle internally in a healthy way, then this is going to create more internal safety. And maybe some of those ways is like you go work out. I think working out and movement is one of the best ways to close a stress cycle. So if you're anxious, if you're stressed, if you're sad, whatever, go do some type of physical movement. It will help complete that circle. Maybe it's meditating, maybe it's journaling, maybe it's just like sitting in silence. Maybe you reach out to a friend and have a good conversations with them. But it's something that you can do without needing this. And being able to be with yourself and learn how to regulate your own emotions without needing an external source is going to create insane levels of trust and safety, which will ultimately feed back into your emotional intelligence. So I want you to, in your journals, write down, think about this past week and write down all the times that you disconnected. So meaning you maybe felt an emotion or you didn't want to deal with something internally. So you turned to social media, TV, Netflix, whatever it is, some kind of device to distract you. And start becoming aware of these situations where you are feeling sad, you're feeling upset, you're feeling whatever that discomfort is. And instead of going to your device, see if you can catch yourself and be like, can I actually move through this without my phone? Can I move through this without social media? Can I go for a walk? Can I hit the gym? Can I just like meditate and feel it? Can I journal about it? See if you can catch yourself doing that and change what you actually do to complete that stress cycle. And I know when I talk about social media, I hear this a lot where it's like, but I use social media for work, for business. How am I not supposed to be on social media when that's how I do most of my business, which is how I do my business? And there's a big difference between creating and consuming. So let's not get caught up with that excuse. I put out more content than a lot of people online, which, yes, requires me to be on social media to physically post the things, but I don't scroll. I look at social media as a tool inside of my business, as a tool to make an impact, as a tool to get my message out, to educate my audience, to make sales in my business. And to be honest with you, the mind-numbing autopilot like scrolling that happens is such a low frequency to me now, because my frequency has been raised so much with all the self-mastery work that I've been doing. That scrolling is such a low frequency that it's just not even a thing that I entertain. So I want to come back to what I said earlier about how our digital reality is more stimulating than our physical one. So let's think about how we navigate our day. So think about your day, and I'm going to give you an example. So let's say you have two different people. Person A wakes up. The minute they open their eyes, they roll over, they grab their phone, and they're just kind of laying in bed, scrolling for the next 30 minutes to an hour. They see what everyone else is posting about online. They see what coaches are doing. If you're a business owner, you see what all their friends are posting about. And they see how much money other people have made online. They start to get a little bit of like, oh shit, what am I doing? Then you go over to TikTok, you see all the girls with their filters on, you see the highlight reel of everyone's life. You're kind of flooding your brain with everyone else's opinions or problems or lives, everything that's going on. Then you get up It's 5 minutes before you have to be online or a meeting or whatever it is. You kind of throw on some sweatpants, you run to your computer, and then you start your day. Okay, so think about that person. And now let's look at person B. They wake up in the morning. The first thing that they do is they get out of bed. They don't look at their phone. They do their morning skincare routine. They go downstairs, they put on their gym shoes, they go outside, maybe they're going for a walk, going for a run, but they see the sun, they're getting the sun on their skin. Maybe they listen to a podcast or training that activates them. Maybe it's from one of their mentors. Maybe it's Alex Hermosi. Then they get home, make breakfast, slowly drink their coffee. They spend some time eye gazing at themselves in the mirror, just dancing. They put on clothes they feel fucking good in. They put on makeup, they put on their jewelry. And at that point, then they start their day and they pick up their phone. How do you think person A versus person B's energy is going to differ throughout the day? How do you think their confidence is going to differ? How do you think the way that they feel about themselves is going to differ? And I know because I was person A for years. Now I'm person B. And that routine that I mentioned, that's pretty much my exact routine of person B. So when you wake up and you feel not confident, you feel tired, you feel unmotivated, it's like, let's look at your routines and ask, how are you actually contributing to this? Right? You just flooded your brain with everyone else's content. Of course, you're not going to feel creative. You're consuming all day, every day, the highlight reel of everyone's life. Of course, you're not going to feel confident. You just rushed downstairs, threw on some sweatpants, didn't brush your hair, didn't brush your teeth. Of course, you're not going to feel sexy. Right? You went straight from your bed to your laptop. Of course, you're not going to feel motivated. Like, do you see how this makes sense? Do you see how you are contributing to your problems? We have a choice every single day to choose differently. But we choose the cheap dopamine. And then we wonder why we're moving through our weeks like zombies because our dopamine's all fucked up that we just can't even get excited by normal things anymore. And don't give me the whole, like, I don't have time though. I don't have time to do morning routine. I don't have time for myself. Because I guarantee if I opened your phone right now and looked at your screen time, it would tell me something different. I have had clients who have multiple kids who are finding time to slow down, to stop the social media scrolling, to actually create a routine. We complain that we are bored with our lives, but where are we creating excitement? When's the last time you left the house without your phone? Went for a bike ride? Tried a dance class? We complain that we aren't confident when we're constantly consuming the highlight reel of everyone else's life. Like, yeah, no shit. Makes sense why you're not confident. We complain that we don't have deep connections with people, or it's like, it's hard to find new friends when we're literally in public like this. I recently flew to Houston to visit my brother. And on the way there was this man sitting next to me. He's probably in his 60s. And he started talking to me right before we took off. And we then ended up taking off in the air, and you kind of are at the place in the plane where you took off, you're kind of leveling out. And if you were talking to the person next to you, it's kind of the indication of like, okay, cool, I'm going to do my own thing now. I'm going to put in my headphones, I'm going to watch a movie, whatever. And I could tell that this guy just like had more to say, that he wanted to chat. So instead of reaching for my headphones, to kind of signal like, okay, I'm going to do my own thing now. I kept my phone away and I continued chatting with him. And we talked most of the rest of the plane ride. I chose to act differently. I chose to continue this real life conversation instead of consuming digital conversations. Can we see it? It's like we complain that we don't have depth and connection with people. And it's like, well, yeah, where are you allowing for that to happen? We like to choose the easy thing, the cheap dopamine. We're out in public with real people doing things with our actual body, yet we feel like we have to disconnect and do this. Make it make sense, right? Then we complain, we want more friends, we want deeper connection, we want a happier life. Well, we spend so much time and energy proving that we have a cool life on social media versus actually going out and creating a cool life. Imagine if you took all the time that you spent scrolling and you put your phone down, had an actual conversation with someone, journaled something, worked on your business. All right, like let's say we scroll for 3 hours a day. And I'm just going to say 3. Some of you maybe are on your phone more than that. And that's 21 hours per week. Doing some math. So that's 1,095 hours per year that we're getting back to improve our actual physical life. Imagine the conversations you could have. The deeper you could get to know yourself, your partner, the healthier you would feel, the more in shape you'd be, the more confident you'd feel, the more clients you would have, the better business you would have. Kobe Bryant, he was someone that went above and beyond when he was training. And he always would come in an hour before training actually started. And he himself would practice for an hour. And his thing was always like, if I practice for an hour before everyone else does, by the end of the year, I have 365 more hours of practice than everyone else. This thing, this device, this digital reality is taking up so much of your time and it's not even real. Imagine the time, the things you could do with the time you spent on this. And going back to that, like proving energy of like, I want to show you that my life is so cool through social media. What's happening here is we crave external validation. We like for other people to tell us you're doing great, your life is cool. We look elsewhere to validate ourselves. So another thing to look at with social media is all the times we're actually showing up solely for external validation. What if you instead started doing things solely for yourself? Like you went to the gym for a whole week or a whole month without posting about it. You ate healthy for a whole month without posting about it. You journaled multiple times that week without posting about it. Whatever your thing is. What if you actually did things for the sake of just wanting to do them versus feeling like you had to showcase something? And so many times we complain about being people pleasers. That's like the number one thing I hear from my clients. I'm a people pleaser. We care too much what other people think. Well, yeah, because you're only doing things for yourself when other people are looking. You can't contribute to a charity or have a super hard gym session, or like go on a crazy hike, or get up early in the morning without feeling the need to go run and tell someone about it. We are creating the people pleaser environment for ourselves. Can we see it? Who are you when no one is looking? Who are you when no one is looking? Would you still do the things that you were doing if no one could see it? Would you still go to the gym? Would you still get up early? What if no one actually saw it? Would you still do it? What you do behind the scenes tells me more about who you are than what you do on social media. I actually don't care what your social media looks like. And a lot of times when clients come into my world, it's like the first thing that I do with them is not even a social media audit. It's a life audit. It's like, okay, cool. Let's look at your relationships. Let's look at how you use social media. Let's look at your sex life. Let's look at the way you manage money. Let's like the actual business conversation itself isn't even a conversation yet. The social media, looking at your content, it's like, okay, let's actually look at how you're showing up in your everyday life. Because that's going to tell me a lot about who you are. And having that need to always be externally validated, having that be the reason why you show up, is never going to get you far. It's never going to get you the life that you want, the business that you want, to have the routines that you want. Because as soon as those things are taken away, you're not going to be able to show up in that way anymore. Which then means you're not actually someone who is healthy. You're not someone who is fit. You're not someone who truly cares about bettering yourself. You're not someone who truly wants to just get up in the morning. You're doing it because it's creating some type of external validation. And it can be scary to think about. It's like, I know when I first started doing this work, it was like, well, it was so hard for me because I was like the ultimate people pleaser. I was so addicted to external validation because I wasn't giving that to myself. It's a whole other conversation. But it was like, if I was to just live my life and not document it, like it was scary, right? It was like, wait, but if no one sees it, then why even do it? And that's when it was like, oh shit, that having that fear, like pay attention to the resistance that you have. So when I'm saying to you, get up early, don't post about it. Eat healthy, don't post about it. Don't tell anyone about it. Donate to charity, put some money in someone's mailbox, don't tell anyone about it. Pay attention to that resistance that you have. That's like, but then I can't, but that resistance that's coming up. Because that's really interesting. Because it's like, then you know, you weren't doing the thing because you wanted to do the thing. You were doing the thing because you wanted to get validation from it. Let's stop using social media as a highlight reel and make it just a small view into our lives. What I show you guys on social media is such a tiny, tiny piece of my life. I don't even show you 80% of the things that happen. And the way that I was able to go from being the biggest people pleaser I know, who craved external validation to like always being addicted to my phone. When I would get up in the morning, the first thing I would do is grab it. I probably spent 6 hours a day on my phone scrolling between the morning and nighttime. There were some like Sundays where I laid on the couch the entire day just on my phone. And the way that I moved away from that was actually creating an environment for myself where I did things for me and my own growth and happiness without telling the goddamn soul. Because you have to realize the amount of power and self-trust and confidence that creates when you actually just do stuff because you're like, I'm just going to do this for me. I'm doing this because I want to be healthy, because I want to wake up early, because I want to start the business, because I want to, whatever it is. And then what happens is you learn to internally validate yourself. You actually really start building up a ton of self-trust by actually doing the things you said you were going to do. By saying, I'm going to get healthy and actually do it. I'm going to start changing my routine. I'm going to start getting up early and actually doing it. And when you can switch from always feeling like you need to be externally validated to I'm actually validating myself, I'm doing this because I just want to, that power and that confidence that comes with that, that's when you become magnetic. It's not that you become magnetic on social media. Like, you know, the people, like when I say the word magnetic, it's like, you know, the people I'm talking about where you just can feel their energy. Maybe it's online, maybe it's someone in person that you know of. If I say the word of that person is magnetic, they have charisma, they have confidence. There's probably someone that's coming into your head. It's not that that person is just magnetic on social media. They're magnetic off social media, and it naturally just becomes a byproduct of who they are. So when I realized I wanted to be more confident, I wanted to be more magnetic, it wasn't, how can I do that in my content and convince people of it so then eventually I'll just convince myself? It was, I'm going to actually build that magnetism in my real physical reality. And then I just get to show up as who I am, and my social media reflects that. And your audience is smart. Your friends are smart. When you are posting content from approving energy, it's a lot different, and people can tell versus like, hey, this is just who I am. The magnetism, the confidence, the self-trust, the charisma, whatever you want to call it, it starts offline first. It starts in your physical reality. I want you to pay attention to how frequently you're on your phone. And I'm sure as soon as you finish this call, you're going to be noticing it like a motherfucker. Like, it's going to be hard to unsee, not just with you, but the people around you. And notice how often when we're bored, when we're tired, when we're sad, when we're lonely, when we're whatever, it's like we don't actually ever feel those emotions. We don't actually regulate ourselves. We just, so pay attention to the times that you're doing that. See if you can choose differently. I also want you to pick something for 30 days. Pick something you want to do. Maybe it's you want to start going to the gym, or trying a new hobby, or like getting up earlier in the morning, or whatever it is, something you want to do. I want you to pick that thing, and I want you to do it for 30 days. And I don't want you to tell anyone. Don't tell me. Don't tell your partner, your friends, your family, anyone. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell your clients if you're a business owner. Do it for 30 days. Don't tell anyone. And then see how you feel. We all want to be more confident. We all want to be more magnetic. We all want to have a cooler life to showcase. And it starts here in your physical reality, not your digital one. If you want things to change in your actual physical life, if you want to change your routine, if you want to feel more confident, if you want to feel happier, it has to happen first offline. All right, so pay attention to this week, where you guys are, how much you're resorting to your phone, how much dependency you have on it, and then pick that thing, whatever it is, and I want you to commit to it for 30 days. And there are, like I said in the beginning, in the Facebook group, there is going to be the workbook to go along with this. There's some additional questions that I probably didn't ask on here that will help guide you and really like take some time with those questions. I know that a lot of times if there are like journal prompts or things like that, we can kind of just like blow them off and like whatever. But it's like, and we like to think that we're above doing the thing, but like how often are you actually sitting down with yourself and being honest? Like how much are you actually sitting down and observing yourself and putting pen to paper of like, this is what's going on. Don't do yourself a disservice by skipping over that. And if anything, it's not the questions themselves, while they will get you to think and heighten your awareness. It's like just creating and carving out space in your day to spend with yourself without listening to a podcast, without listening to a training, without turning on the TV, without calling your friend, it just like gives you time to be with yourself and your thoughts. So take time to do the questions. Okay. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Bye.